RC Underground Radio is your go-to podcast for everything RC.
Do you guys realize how much it costs to be friends with this dude?
Whether you're a dedicated racer or just getting started in the hobby, this is your show. Each episode features top-notch guests, industry leaders, and you, the racer. It's a community where listeners can learn, connect, and grow their passion for RC racing. So, grab your transmitter, buckle up, and join us on RC Underground Radio.
Say words.
Here are your hosts, Dave Brinkman and TJ Greer.
All right, everybody. We are back for season 3 here on the RC Underground Radio show. And boy, we took some time off, but we're recharged. We are reset up. Brought on the man you saw. So if you were listening over the summer, we brought on the one, the only TJ Wild Thing Greer. TJ, thanks for being with me.
Hey, thanks for having me. Excited to be a part of it. We'll hopefully bring a new element to the show, and we miss Ryan. I miss him dearly. He needs to be on ASAP. So, but I'm excited to be a part of it, and hopefully we can have a great time and have our guest on and see what we can bring to the table.
100%, man. It's I can't even imagine when we have shows, when we do have Ryan as well, and the two of you. I mean, that's what kind of led to this. Like, we did a show with you. It was so much fun. We got such great feedback. And I said, man, when I 1,000% respect Ryan and what he does. So we completely respect what he's out there doing, but not going to lie, it's a blast when he's on. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's just like we said, he'll be the secret sauce on top of the recipe. So we look forward to those times when he can join us. But for most of the ride, buddy, it's going to be you and me, and I couldn't thank you enough for doing that because it's hard to do by yourself. Trust me. A, I got a face for radio, and B, it's just hard to come up with good questions all the time, and it's too one-sided directed. So I know you have a very creative mind, and some of the stuff that I know will come up throughout the year is just going to be a lot of fun. So again, thank you, my friend. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, cool. Well, we had some fun over the summer, huh? We did a road show out at Backyard. You got a taste of what doing a road show is like. There was a lot of people there. We had a lot of people around our booth. We introduced the booth for the first time. Got some great reviews on that. Gotta say that the company that did it just knocked it out of the park. It came out so nice. I'm so proud to have it up. Did it again at the RC Drags, so that was super fun. But what did you think of that? What did you think of your first RC road show?
Oh man, it was what I expected it to be and more. I will admit, when it got down to nitty gritty, I was like, I got to focus on my program. I'm a little behind the 8 ball. But I had a blast, man. It was fun getting some people on there, talking the stories, hearing their side of racing, where they came from, where they're going. Potentially, we had some Callan on there. He was a winner the night before, so he stayed 2 nights in a row and racing another program, for the next day. So it was good to get to some of the racers on there, and then and the giveaway, just giving away the door prizes for everybody that donated. That was an absolute gas, because there's nothing better than being a racer and getting something for free. You know what I mean? You literally just tell me how many cars you ran. We'll give you that many tickets, and we're going to draw them out. Come get some free stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, the people that stepped up, obviously, Shark and Carpies and Scrub-a-Dub and, I know you had, your folks from Sticky Kicks jumped in.
Yep.
But then all the people that kicked in that were there, Wits. I mean, that humbled me when Wits came over.
Wits.
Yeah, when Wits came and brought us stuff, and they didn't play. Like they brought.
Well, that's the funny part. Troyer didn't know. I was in one of the trailers talking with one of the vendors that was there, and he come over and was like, I got the Wits wheels, I got the new wheels. And I said, did you read the fine print? And he's like, what are you talking about, man? I said, read the fine print on there. And he was like, you have $50. I was like, you better go spend it, buddy.
Yeah,
so,
no, that was one of the highlights.
Shop.
Yeah, that was one of the highlights of the day, because he, that young man that won that he was so like it was Christmas morning to him.
Yeah.
He said to me, I could never afford or ever think I would have this level of equipment in my box. And that was just solid. I was like, go over, tell the Wits guys that, because that's all them, I mean,
Josh Niebel was he was a big part of that, being able to donate that. So thank you, Josh, and CK Speed Shop for the support. That was huge.
Yeah. And Kempton, Kempton Raceway came up and gave us a bag full of tires and stuff. Okay.
So kind of a big deal. She's getting scouted. So that's it's a big deal for her to be a part of these showcases and be able to be in front of those colleges and really showcase her talents, because that's what she wants to do in college. So I've got to be 100% invested in her, just as much as I'm invested in my race program. I got to show her that unconditional support, and that's what I'm here for.
Well, we say at the top of the show, it's family. It's, it's personal commitments definitely come first. Mm-hmm. So no, that's awesome. Well, we'll be watching. I love when you give highlights of her softball the way that you do with your racing. Like we know what's going on all weekend when you're playing softball. And I know it's not just me. I know it's Ryan. I know it's a bunch of people. Like that's why we're going to Facebook. Like we're looking for the softball updates because they're good. Like it doesn't matter what team she's played on a lot of different teams. Like every team she plays on, they're like playing for championships. They're not just playing to be there.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point was, if I can get her on a team where she may have been bottom of the barrel and she's got a scratch and claw to get to the top, then iron sharpens iron. Same with racing. It's the same mentality for me. I'm not going to run from those fast guys. Like I want to race against them. That's the only way I'm going to get better. But for softball, it's the same thing. She's been on. She was with Hoosier Force for many years, and once that final team folded after a few, she was with them since 10U. She was in 16U and decided, hey, I'm going to step away from coaching and I'm going to let you pick your team, and that's how I'm going to get your best buy-in. And she picked a team out of Indy. We were with that team for a year. That team decided to stay in the 16U division, so she aged up. So she's now with the Indiana Bombers, and she loves it, man. She's been absolutely thriving from it. The girls are great. The coaches are great. And it's just been good just being dad.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, that's awesome, buddy. And it's great that you do that. It's this to see that family unit, whether it's in the RC hobby or it's in baseball or anything it is, there's nothing better than that. There's just nothing better than that. Are you still craving those, the pork,
those pork nachos?
The pork nachos, buddy. Like I've had withdrawal. Like I can't even go back and watch the video because when I watched that we did the food thing those were.
You had the best bite. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You had the absolute best bite.
You ain't kidding, man. You ain't kidding. And I just hope my wife isn't watching this.
Shane Sanders and his wife did a great job on those pork butts.
Ugh. 5 of them.
Yeah, I'm smoking one this weekend. I got some family in town for this festival that's going on, and my grandmother had asked, she had said, I can't grill in my apartment complex, so I need you to barbecue me something. I said, say no more, Grandma. I'm going to smoke up a pork butt.
Yeah, just the whole thing, man. Just the whole thing was super cool. Some amazing racing, amazing racers. How much money did they give away? Hopefully nobody from the IRS is listening, but how much money?
From donations, because it was all donated. Okay. $21,000 purse over 2 days was what the total was.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome for the hobby.
Tony Lidgar, man, hats off to him. He puts on one hell of a program, and I literally just saw a post where he's selling his RC stuff, cars, the track's still supposed to be there for the next year, or however long. But, I think he's just taking his time away from the RC world as a racer, maybe just be focusing on the directing aspect of it. But Crown Jewel, man, that wore him out. And he may not admit it. He may not tell anybody that, but you can just tell, man, he put a lot of heart and soul into that for a long time. He also ran the Elite Series. That was, another one of those big programs. And if you were any dirt oval guy that knew any national race was going to happen that wasn't, a Scotty Ernst race, the Elite Series was it. It still is. It's reputable. but he sold his stuff. I messaged him, said, hey, you tell me your price on this and this, and you let me know. He ended up selling it all as a package deal because that's what he wanted. So, but it wore on him, man. There's a lot of things that people probably don't notice that go on behind it. One, running the track with very minimal support. That's probably the hardest thing to do. And two, just being copacetic with the rules. He had a finite set of rules, and that was the name of the game, and he's stuck to them even in his regular programs. Nothing really changed. But it was time consuming. It was heavy, heavy as the head that wears the crown, and crown jewel, man. It was heavy. It was a lot. The weather wasn't the best on Friday, and he made the best of the track while he could. And, my hat's off to Tony. Like I said before, you're never going to hear me complain about the track. You're just not. I'm thankful to be there, thankful to race. But anybody who puts on a race like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't feel like they had to take time away from it, because that was a lot, man.
Yeah. Let's dig into that a little bit. You talk about that. You talk about, track conditions. People can not agree with me. This is just my opinion. Like, don't come to a racetrack, especially a dirt track. And I trust me, I don't have experience on a dirt track, but don't tell me if I'm wrong on this, TJ. Don't come to a race complaining because the track isn't coming to the way you want the track to be. Oh, it's too wet. It's too dry. It's too dry slick. It's this, it's that. Get your talent and your ability to match the racetrack. Be ready for all conditions.
Yeah.
Study. Learn your craft. Don't just be like, well, if the track isn't the way I need it, I'm just going to complain about it, because you know what? There's 400 guys there. That track can't be 400 different ways. You got to go there and you got to appreciate it's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It took up this dude's whole house. Like, there's way more dedicated to racetrack than house, to include his family, right? Anybody that walks through that gate, I just got goosebumps when I walked through that gate. It was like, as soon as you walk through, you were in RC world. Like, where else would you want to be?
You would never have any clue it was happening too. I mean, you would when you drove by the house, but I mean, you're in like part of Amish land almost. You got horse and buggies driving down the highway right there. But I'm not going to say you're wrong by any means. The track can change. Look at Dirt Nationals last year. I wasn't even there, but I saw it. You got people taking quasi speeds, sanding them down because they want to slick, because that's what it got to. That's what you have to know. Do your research, know your knowledge, know what you're capable of, know what to expect. Well, I'll just say it. Friday, everybody ran the high side. It was, we're ripping the lip, we're slinging nuggets, it's loose. I'm sorry, that was practice. Yes. Then Saturday was the mod stuff. So everybody ran high side, and so backyard the last 2 years, you could run the low, middle, and high side and still run a tenth or two within each other. This year, not so much. There's off camber, so you couldn't run the bottom, and people are
Mother Nature's going to throw you that, right?
The bottom feeders were mad, and it's just all there is to it, and so they're like, you can't run the bottom, and so, but you had guys that tried, Nathan Dean gave it hell. I mean, he came out and he spent a solid 4 hours. Him and the guys from Chapman, those guys from Texas, they tried to get the bottom to come in. They were close, very, very close. They eventually moved up, and that's the line that was for the mod race, and then we got into the spec stuff and SE mod for Sunday, and we were able to run the bottom. We had a bunch of guys that committed to it. Kevin McNatt and myself, we talked about it. We were like, man, if we just had enough guys that would just give it a shot and run it and burn it in and practice, because we did run, about 4 hours of practice before we could make that work. And I'll tell you what, by the time we got to those mains and it was main time after the seeding and qualifying, the bottom was there, and that's where it was.
I was going to say, where was the main event one? Was it one at the top or one at the bottom?
Bottom all day. I mean, I'm telling you. That was the adjustment. So if I was there, if you were racing on Saturday, you were racing the top. And then the adaptability was Sunday, you're racing the bottom.
That's a dirt track.
That's exactly what happened. And it was great to see, because a lot of people, when you run the top, it's high speed, it's dangerous, it's edgy. That's where everything happens. It's where the crashes happen. It's just, there's really almost no passing.
Well, it cracks me up because, in one breath, RC racers want the racing to look realistic, like full-size racing, right?
Yeah.
My son ran midgets. We would have that car all set up for a dry track because water truck hasn't been out. We're lined up. They're lining us up in the pits to roll out, and all of a sudden the water truck goes out. Okay, well, what are we going to do? Is everybody going to unbuckle and get out and go complain? No, you go race.
Yep.
And you figure it out.
That was
all there is to it.
That was the same thing last weekend. I ran Raw RC Speedway. The track the last time we were there was really, really gripped up. So they had a ton of rain the night before, and I would say almost like an inch and a half of rain or something. And it got into the track, which made the track money. I mean, it was money. And then they let it rubber up, so I did the track walkthrough video, and you could see, I mean, it was just black all over, which I thought was great. So then I kind of expected that to be this way this last time, and it wasn't. It was a little bit looser, had a ton of character. And so I stayed on sprinters the whole time, and everybody else was running ellipses, and I stayed on sprinters because I was like, man, I need a little bit more bite. I'm not getting into the whole of the track. And, but that's what it was for Tony's, like we all had spec tires for the most part that we had to run, for the crown jewel, and we needed to adjust, and Kevin McNatt, he had asked me, he's like, what are your thoughts on the bottom? I was like, too much off camber for 3 and 4, but I mean, if we can get it to rubber up, we can hold. And I'll be damned, we did, man. That A main was money. Josh Kniebel had it in the bag, and he just made that one mistake, and it was the biggest race of them all because it was the biggest cars and it was the cleanest race of them all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another RC roadshow that I did here in Wisconsin, it was kind of a last minute deal. Went out to the Get 'em presented by Great Lakes Dragaway. And I mean, you talk about a genre. I talked to Steve Slaney last year a little bit about drag races. We had 2 episodes about that, but this is my first time to actually be at one, an RC drag race. 2 things that really stuck out to me is those guys know their stuff.
No,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, those, and there's a lot more handling that goes into that car, for just the onlooker. You think, okay, just lock in the radio, push the trigger, and make the front of the car have no toe and just go as straight as an arrow. No, there's a lot more adjustments on those cars. There's a lot more we think we're using tire compound. Holy smokes. There was one time they put this on there that it literally looks like a Krispy Kreme donut to me. I was getting very hungry watching them, but it was like glazed, right?
Yeah.
And they use a heat gun, and they're testing the temperature of that tire as they continue to rotate it, either with a drill or by hand. Some guys like to do it by hand. They really want to be there, in it. And it's a real science. Well, this one guy does all that, puts it on, and he's trying to line up his car, and he takes off full throttle, and the car just stuck there. And then when he pulled the car off, there was like all the cobwebs. Like that's how thick it was getting. It was interesting because, especially for me doing a show, right? Like to go there and watch a bunch of drag racing is super cool. But then some drama actually came in. These guys were racing for some cash too. Over $3,000 was on the line to win that thing. And what was really interesting is, so you have to go back and watch the episode because Cassidy will tell the story, the race director. She will tell the story of what happened. But basically what they have to do, because different organizations use that track at Great Lakes, and there's, different rules, and, there's no prep and so forth. So for the prep line, for those that race in the prep, they put this tape down. That way, when it's all said and done, they rip that tape up, and then the whole grid area is not compromised for the next group. And so they put this tape down, and then you can run your prep and you can do whatever. Well, there's a thing that they do, and I don't quite remember. And yeah, it's a good way to make people go watch that episode. Is that somebody was oiling their front tires? Now, they don't know if it was one individual or just a buildup from multiple. Can't really figure that out, right? Mm-hmm. But all of a sudden, everybody's coming off the line, and like guys that do this all over the country, and they're slipping. And then they finally realized, okay, guys, hold it. Somebody's got oil on the front tires to the point that it's sitting at the top of all the prep. Mm-hmm. And it was a big deal. It was a big deal. I did some postings on that. You can see that at RC Underground Radio. You can scroll back and look at some of those postings, or be great if you go in and watch the show. But it was interesting how they handled that very professionally. They saw the issue. They decided, let's replace all the tape. But they did that decision by bringing all of the racers to the start finish line. And that was a group decision, by vote, majority vote, but it was pretty much majority. But I was impressed because much like a dirt track, right, has people going, hey, what are we going to do about this track? It was no different in RC drag racing. It's like, okay, what are we going to do about this track? And again, much like Tony, Cassidy did a great job leading it, coming to resolve, and then initiating it and getting back to racing. That's the big thing. Like, how fast can we get back to racing? Because it's a long day. It was a long day there too.
I think the other part of that is, obviously it's two different worlds of racing, right? But when you really think about it, there's nobody that's going to know their dirt better. If a true track owner cares, they knew. Tony knew that he wasn't going to break that track up on Sunday, and that's fine. I'm perfectly fine with it. Had no complaints on my end, but I think if we would have brought the racers together for that amount of money and we would have said, hey, what do you want? You'd have A, B, C, D different options. But in all reality, Tony did a great job just saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. And this is what it is. The same thing with the spec racing, the complaining of the spec rules or the teching and how it went about. I don't run specs, so you're not going to hear me complain. I don't have a dog in the fight, but, those were rules that were put into place for a reason, whether you like it or not, that's why they're there, right. But, for them to be able to take the racers and bring them to the line and come to a majority rule vote, and then everybody walk away and be able to say, okay, we're going to do this. That's huge, because that's almost unheard of.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. And so how this deal works, as I got to peel it back a little bit, is there's like 40 dedicated racers, not just going to Great Lakes. They go all over the country. And they have all dedicated themselves to this organization, this series, and built it together through fellowship and just, being dependable. They fly, they drive, they go all over the country. Like 40 dedicated racers always show up, and then locals come too. And that's why the shows are always so strong, because it's that great mix of the local guy, but then the traveling stars, and
right.
Much like a lot of the big companies that are in the dirt world or 1RC or any of that, they've got their supportive groups. There's one consistency though through this whole thing, and you're wearing the shirt, GFRP.
Yeah, baby.
I don't know how, we got to get these guys on a show. TJ, whatever. We got to take them to dinner, whatever we got to do.
Dustin, I'm going to tag you in this video. We need to get you on the show. Okay. Yeah. I need an hour of your time. I know you're busy. I know you've got a million things going on. I know you're too cool for school, but I need an hour of your time, and let's get you on here. Let's talk about it. And let's see what we can talk about. What's the future of GFRP and 5.7 quasi speed? And see what we can get going on with you. So I'm going to tag him in this when we're done, and cool. I'm going to get him on here.
Cool, because that's the consistency across everywhere I go. pretty soon we're going to have boat racers on here. I will not be shocked if there's some GFRP boat out there. I really won't. Just because they're everywhere, but it's to be applauded. I mean, how, and it's not like, hey, we just want to make money in this hobby. No, that's not what it is. Like, I can tell they don't go unless they can do it top notch and be competitive and be the car or the drag car or whatever car to beat. And that's what impressive.
That's
People
what drew me
need
to
to
the
hear
company.
that story.
That's what drew me to the company in the first place in 2019. You know, when I was racing a simple slash and SE mod, you know, but the cars that were just, you know, they were beating me by, you know, 2 to 3 laps. And I'm like, man, what does this guy got that I don't have?
Right.
You know, and it was 5.7 Designs at the time. It was the only purpose built car that they did on that platform. You know, so once I switched over, went to that car, it was like, that was it. You know, I applied everything that I knew, which at the time wasn't a ton, but I was still learning, you know?
Right.
But that's it, you know, and then I went from that to a buggy based car. And I mean, it's just GFRP cars, the innovation never stops. Dustin will push every envelope with that team. And the great thing is you're going to see those team drivers go out there that are testing products and they may not do well. You know, they may not do well at all because they're testing new items to see, will this work? Is this what we're looking for? Is this the competitive edge? It may suck. It is what it is. But that's how they know that they're going to be able to change a product and make it beneficial to any race program, whether it be me, you, or the guy leading in front of you. But that's what he's doing. He's always challenging. He's not going to stay as a brick and mortar company, you know, and get left behind because they won once. You know, it's constantly changing. Evolution. It may not always be the best at times. You know, it may be a car that doesn't work for me. It is what it is, you know, but I will tell you this. They are going to be at the front and they are going to innovate to be able to get there.
Yeah. No, it's impressive. It's impressive. And again, I hope we can get them on. So what other racing did you do over the summer?
Oh, where did I go? So I did we didn't talk about attitude on here, did we? I think we did that on the live,
No.
right?
No.
Okay. So I got a hold of Ryan Razlaff probably like, I don't know, on a Thursday night, maybe Thursday morning. I was like, bro, I'm texting him. I said, hey, I think I'm going to come up to Attitude this weekend. He's like, yeah, you're messing with me. I was like, no, legit. I'll leave at like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'll come up and race on Sunday. So I did. I ended up leaving at like 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm driving and we're texting back and forth and he's like, how far away from you are? I'm like, I don't know, man. I think I'm like 40 minutes away. He's like, man, I gotta be close to you. So then all of a sudden I'm driving and this car pulls up right next to me and I'm doing a solid 85 from Indiana to Wisconsin and I'm holding ground and this car just comes right up next to me. And I see it, and he's just like staying with me. I was like, that's weird. So I'm going to slow down. As I slowed down, he slowed down. So then I turn and look, and it's Ryan. What are the odds we're on the interstate together going to the same racetrack? But yeah, I went to Attitude and was totally unprepared, you know, but you didn't hear me argue about it. Right. You didn't hear me complain, right? So I went in there flying blind. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to run SE Mod. I'm going to run Sprint. And then I come to realize everything is like spec motors. And I'm like, skirt, you said what? And so Ryan's like, yeah, man, you got to run like 17.5. And I'm like, in this hog? I was like, okay, well, help me because I don't have any of that stuff. So I'm at the track gluing tires, everything I need to do, set up the whole pit. And I go out there and I absolutely suck. Like I absolutely sucked to the point where they're like, man, like this car is completely illegal. I was like, hey, I'm cool with being DQ'd. Right on everything. If you just let me run this as it is, like I don't need a trophy. Like that's not what I'm here for. And so when it was all said and done, I didn't make it out of whatever main I was in. I think I transferred in like one main for the SE mod. I think I transferred once and that was it. As soon as I was done, I told Ryan, I'm putting everything back in my car the way it was. I'm going to run it like this. I'm going to have a blast. And so I did, you know, and I told Aaron, I said, hey man, your facility's awesome. I love the environment. It was great to talk to Paul from Shark. Brian Laurent killed it while I was there, and Greg Moreau, MR Customs, you know, just seeing those guys wheel those cars, they did well, you know, I mean, that's their backyard. They should know how to do that well. so I wasn't surprised. So
How
I
did
put
Ryan
everything.
do? How did Ryan do?
He got done dirty. He got done dirty in one of his mains, but in Slash, he was killing it. He said he sucked all day, but I don't know. It was Cinco de Mayo. That's when it was. It's Cinco de Mayo, and I think that might have had a little something to do with it. But nevertheless, we did have beers and tacos, but that was a good time too. But afterwards, I put everything back in it, and I ripped the lip and, ran my cars as if I were to run any other track, and it was fun, and had a blast. Aaron had a great time. It was good to meet everybody for the first time. Where else did I go this summer? I went to the Crater in was it April, March, maybe somewhere between there. Went up there for the Let's Get It race. I had to look at the plaques. These plaques have Michael Althoff's face on it. So
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Those guys are wild, man. So we'll get them on a show too, but they're they're absolutely crazy.
Yes.
Went up there and ran. Went up there with Tori Snow, good buddy of mine. We've been racing with each other for many years. We like to travel together if that's anything. So we went up there and ran that race, and huge high bite. I mean, we're talking motor killer, battery killer, gear down, timing up on everything. But I ended up getting, I got third in SC mod, and I had to do it the hard way. I had to come up from like a D main or something.
Oh, sweet.
I didn't do well. But I ended up transferring the D, transferring the C, transferring the B, and then getting all the way up to third, in the A main. So that was impressive because it was a tire game. They kind of had it loose in the beginning. Once again, it goes back to being prepared for what it is. They said it was going to be loose. I knew it would get gripped up.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time we're running the D main and cars, we're same thing, man. We're going to a slick versus a low pin tire where we started at. But that track is fun, man. It's huge. It's a big hole in Michigan, and if you've never been there, go there, enjoy the environment. It's a blast. I'm trying to think, what else did I do?
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Crater just for a minute. Cause you nailed it. Those guys are awesome. You talk about put your heart and soul into something, they live it. They breathe it every second. You can tell. They're so passionate about it. So fun. Yeah, you said it. We're going to have them on a show.
The story was cool too. Originally it's not the original track. The original track was in the back of Althoff's backyard. And then they pretty much outgrew it through COVID. They needed something to do, and they'd never raced RC cars, so they were learning as they went too. And now that they're in a bigger facility and hosting bigger races and getting race directors to come out and direct the entire race for them, Murphy came out and directed one. They had a good time with him. But they care, man. They care about the program. They travel and support the other tracks. And they do it well. They bring a crew with them. They're known as the Michigan guys from Crater Nation. And they're competitive. They can bring cars that, you probably look at and say, I don't know if that's going to be it, but don't be surprised when that guy's coming up by you in an A main. But their cars are fast. They're a blast to hang out with. They're a riot 24/7. So relatable on my end, because as cool, calm as collected I am right now, and everybody's got a wild side. So
that's right.
But we'll get them on.
Yeah, well, we let the cat out of the bag. Been talking with those guys about doing a RC roadshow there, so super excited to go up and do that. So that's going to be great. Crater, those guys, man, I like everything they do. Social media, to their branding, to their trophies, to their funny posts, to just who they are.
Yeah, I mean, that's them from beginning to end, morning to nightfall. I mean, those guys are, let's say, balls to the wall, like 110, I don't know where they get all that energy. I'd be exhausted if I were them, but they're a blast to be around, man. I love being around those guys.
That's awesome. Well, on this end of town, we kicked off the first race at the RC Underground. We don't hold back. 400 laps.
That's insane.
One RC's fastest 5th mile. Time of the race, 43 minutes.
Holy
and
cow.
21 some seconds. Yeah. And at the end of the race, only a 3-lap interval from first to second. What happened after? So there was a two competition yellows, one at 150, the other one at 300, and then so you finished the last. Last is just an old fashioned 100-lap short track shootout. Everything was going double digits for Dalton Hallbaker. He drives 7 hours from Iowa to come race at the Underground. It's awesome.
Where's he from in Iowa?
Don't know the exact town. I'm not sure which side he's on, but I do know he travels 7 hours.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Great young man, military man, came, served our country and comes home, and now he's into this RC game, and he's good. Anywhere he goes, he's good. So he came here, and but then drama set in after that second stop. He broke a shock.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he broke a shock. And on these little cars, the problem is you can use it's just a ball stud end, so you can pop it back on. But typically, if you break the shock, there's a crack in that plastic end that's going on the ball end. Mm-hmm. And so you got to ginger it, right? And so he got lucky in it. He was able to nurse it for just a few laps to the break, and then he was able to repair it. But he didn't have enough time to change the shock, because it's basically how it goes. It starts out that the competition yellow can be 5 minutes, right? But as soon as the last car is ready to roll, we go back. So if that's 2 minutes, 3 minutes, the race is lining back up and we're taking off again.
Right.
So and the other rule is you have to bring everything you're going to use during a pit stop to pit lane. You can't run back. You can't have batteries cooking in the pit area and you're running there and running back. No, you got to prepare for what you're going to do. So are you just going to bring have a battery in the car and have 2 batteries on the side? You cannot bring all your charging equipment to pit lane. That you can't do. But a couple people got smart and brought their whole box over there. That you can do. He did not. So he could not throw a new shock on there. He just had to try to do what he could with his fingers by pressing on it and, sticking it back on there. So now he has to run this last 100 laps. All the cars that started the main are still in it, and they're not that far behind because he had to ginger that thing around. George Murray. I mean, things happen quick. Track record is 2.28. So like blink of an eye. So at one point,
you can't even blink.
Yeah, at one point, Dalton's up like 15 laps. He's just cruising. Well, then this hits, and George, the animal Murray, is just coming. He's coming. He's clipping him off here. He's clipping him off there. Dalton's
like
going to almost
waka.
Yeah, and it's like Dalton can't really run his line because he sees a couple of cars there, and he kind of aborts and goes high because he's like, if I get in that, and then all of a sudden that shock pops off again, I'm done, because under green, he is not going to have any time to go and do what he did. He got a lucky break. He got the Kurt Busch loses the tire as he's going on pit lane to win a championship break, right? He just had that shock break at the right time, only had to nurse it for about 15 laps, only lost a little bit of his lead. But then the rest of the race, he couldn't run his full strategy because the kid's lights out. He does not miss a beat. Like he is on his points lap after lap after lap.
That's
and
awesome.
A great guy too. He's like you. And Ryan, he'll help anybody in the pit lane. He'll help anybody in the pits. Like,
absolutely.
Here's my setup. Here's what I'm doing. You might want to try this. Throughout the day, making people faster going into the main. So when he comes here and cleans our clock, we can't be sad. But George started running him down. Yeah, and I think that's pretty wild that after 400 laps. I mean, we've had Midwesterns where it's 2 cars on the lead lap. I mean, multiple times. This race, just in case TJ, dates back to 1981. That was the first running of the Midwestern.
I was not even born.
Right. You didn't even know how to hold a controller.
No, I wasn't even the gleam in my daddy's eye.
There you go. So, this thing's got a lot of prestige. A lot of guys have won it. I don't know. It's probably one of the still oldest running. I know it's not the oldest RC race in the world, in the country or anything, but probably still one of the oldest still running events. We've run it in all different scales and all that stuff, but its home now is at the RC Underground. So that was super fun. The next one coming up at the Underground is coming up 21st of October. That's going to be the Kenman Classic. It's named after my dad. So it's great that, Ken Brinkman, and in his RC racing days, somebody called him, "Hey, Kenman," and it just stuck. And so he's been gone for a little over 11 years now, right at 11 years. And so it's the Kenman Classic. It's fun that we get to pay tribute to him. He used to wear a hat very similar to this. That's why I made this hat. And that hat and his shirt that he always wore, that on the back said Kenman number 5. Another reason I run the 5. We set up a chair and we put his shirt and his hat there. So he's with us.
That's great.
He's with us all day for the Kenman.
Listen,
so
you get a lot of compliments on that hat. I'm just saying.
I've had a lot of people ask me, like, "Where'd you buy that?" I literally put it together. I bought the hat separate. I bought the thing separate, and my wife sewed it up. So
I'm just saying. I'm sure it'd be a trademark infringement somehow, some way. But I know a guy that could probably help you out and put that on a merch store for you. Just saying.
Yeah, that would be kind of fishy. Is that what you're getting at? It would be a fishy situation.
Would be fishy.
We can talk about it. He's the presenting sponsor, Carpies, man. Where else would you go for merch? Hey, we're gonna have as the weeks go on. We've got. I'm glad you kind of highlighted that, because we're gonna have a little merch offering that we're gonna do right here on the show. So we'll be talking about that in the upcoming weeks. It'll be a nice little holiday thing. Like nice
absolutely.
Little gift there. Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't love to get an RC shirt?
Come on. Even grandma, like, she could be sitting there eating her barbecue, and it's okay if she gets some sauce, because the shirt's dark, right? It's a dark.
That's
shirt.
why we always wear black.
Exactly. So
we always wear black.
We might have to hook grandma up with a shirt now that I'm thinking about it.
Grandma Johnson, I got you covered.
There we go. We love you, Grandma Johnson. We got you. We got you, girl. So that's what's kind of going on this side. You got anything coming up? Is there still some like fall classics or anything you're going to be rolling at?
Yeah, man. So I will try my best. I think everyone is going to go to 5-star this weekend, which I will not. I'm taking this weekend off, but I think the following weekend, October 12th, we're going to be at Raw RC Speedway. Okay. I think that'll be their last outdoor race. It'll probably be the last one in the Indiana. You'll be lucky to try and get anything else after that. Indiana's pretty bipolar with its weather. We don't know what we're gonna get. You know, it's 90 and sunny here, and the next day it's 60 and sleeting. I just don't know. It happens. And then I'll start running some club races at Brick House RC Raceway in Rowan, Indiana. It's a very small, fast high bite bull ring. The Bucher family puts that one on. They do a fairly good job there. They'll do some plaque races. I think they're going to run 3 times in a month. Do a couple different formats. I think they're going to do a points race. I kind of do it as I can. My daughter bowls as well, so that takes some time away on Saturdays when we have to go to meets all around the state. But
that girl doesn't do anything small. It's not like bowling. It's not like bowling and going to Chuck E. Cheese. Like she's national everything. Everything's at the national level. That's awesome. It's awesome. She's that talented and likes to compete at that level. I don't know where she gets the competitive edge from. That's so.
Well, there's 2 things with that. One, I hope that I can teach her you're never going to half-ass anything. Excuse my French, but that's just it. I'm gonna be blunt. I'm all in on everything that I do, and I want to do it with passion. And if I'm doing it with a passion, I care about what I'm doing. I'm all in, and I think I want to teach her that. I hope that she's learning that, that she can count on herself to find her own love in whatever it may be. But the other part of that is also making sure that I teach her that unconditional support. No matter what it is, I'll be there. I'm going to be there. And I think Bowling was one of the things we didn't really understand. I bowled a lot in my younger years. For years I bowled. I don't bowl as much now because I coached, and then RC kind of took over, and I was like, I'm going to play with toy cars. But do it big. Do everything big, because there's no reason to do how you do anything is how you do everything.
Right.
So I hope that she learns that lesson, that work ethic, that drive, the passion, and that she kind of instills that in herself. Because, as she gets older, obviously I'm not going to be the drive behind her. I can't be, so, but yeah, hopefully she continues to love it. But yeah, she's got some bowling stuff she'll do. She's doing basketball for the varsity team. So she'll be on varsity bowling, varsity basketball, and then we'll be right into, softball season in the spring, and then on to her senior year. So,
hey, you got to introduce our other co-host who just entered your studio.
come here, Luce. Come here. Get up here. Come here. Come here. Yeah, this is Lucy.
Lucy
Say hello.
Lou.
Thank you, baby girl. This is my mini golden doodle. She's awesome. She's the bestest of all pretty girls, and she knows it. So
She's spoiled rotten.
she is. She's 100% spoiled. She likes pup cups and treats. You want a treat?
And she loves daddy.
Oh, you want a treat, don't you? Yeah, I'll get you a treat later. Yep, that's my little girl. So
That's awesome. She's awesome.
but yeah, man. So I got a pretty busy winter. I'll do. I haven't signed up for it yet, but I think I'm going to do the JCon Dirt Nationals and PTs. So they won't run SE Mod, which is a bummer. That's my favorite class in the world to run. But I did just get a Outlaw late model, so I'll probably run that and Outlaw Sprint, because those are what I'm running at Chili Bowl. So I've got to force myself to up my hand in that and get better at buggy based cars.
So you heard it here, folks. You're going to Chili Bowl.
Yeah, I am going back. We're going to be right next to GFRP, like we have been the last couple years. And I will be with Team Exalt. So Kevin Abbott's going to provide us a place to pit. So we're going to do it just like we did last year. We'll be with the Exalt guys, right with GFRP. JCon kind of split us right there. So we had Tyler Hooks right there as well. But yeah, Chili Bowl, we'll do that. On the fence about Motorama, but I think I'm going to do it. I want to go out and run SE Mod, so why not go out there? I mean, it's just money, right? I'm just kidding. It's always expensive to go and do it, but luckily I'm fortunate enough to be able to support it.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's awesome for the show, because we're going to have some great debrief, and I will definitely have a Chili Bowl debrief episode or two, as well as Motorama. So that's super cool to look forward to. On my end, I'm going to run. I'll be promoting and running the along with my buddies at 608 Raceway, basically in Stoughton, Wisconsin, and then On Track Raceway up in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. We've put together a 6-race, 2 races at each track, called the Badger 1RC Tour series, and it should be super fun. Points, we'll be tracking points. We'll be giving out championship trophies. There'll be awards at every race. Tracks are the same but different, so it should be a good mix. Got a lot of 1RC racers around the state and outside the state that'll be coming. We talked about Dalton Hallbaker. I know he's going to make some of them. George Murray, Nick Ciccone out of Illinois, they'll be coming. It should be a good mix. A lot of 1RC racers around the state that probably have never raced each other yet are going to converge together on these different racetracks, either trying to show what they can do at their home track, and then they're going to travel a little bit. And a lot of these guys are like, I've never traveled. I've just gone to this track, or I've just gone to this track. So
traveling's different. It's different if you've never been a part of traveling. It's tough. It's tough to know you're going to go outside of your element. You don't know what to expect, and then you have to adapt, and then you have to be good at adapting. And if you're not, you probably won't be successful traveling.
Right.
But you have to have a game plan. You have to have a mindset, set a goal, an expectation. If I go into every single race that I'm going to dominate and win, I'm going to be disappointed a lot. But a lot of times it's how far am I off, TQ pace? or do I get a transfer to mains, or whatever it may be. You know, small wins. You know, we got to find small wins to keep ourselves celebrating, because we're not going to win every time. It's just how it rolls.
That's a great example of what some of these shows will be, where we won't have guests. It'll just be us talking. Maybe we can get a little deeper in detail and things like that. That's a perfect example, like talking tires. Like how could you prep tires so that you don't tear through them so much, or can you not? You know, you just gotta run what you got. You know, you just gotta do what you gotta do. And this year I want the theme to be a little bit more how we can help the racers. Right?
Yep.
We've spent our last couple seasons really talking about the fellowship, which we're always going to talk about that because that's just real.
Yep.
But we've talked to people more like, why get in the hobby? Now we got to go to the next phase, and it's got to be, now that you're in it, how can you definitely have fun with it, stay with it, sustainability. And I think that's, you know, you and Ryan and, you know, and some of the guests and things, just digging into what it takes to like budget for this, what it takes to prepare if you want to travel. That's a perfect topic.
Yeah, you know, I think you're nailing the coffin. You know, my budget is different from somebody else's budget. You know,
Right.
And we'll just be fair and say I'm not going to go out and spend every waking dollar I have on RC cars. It's not realistic. But you know, if I'm going to plan to go to a big race, I'm going to spend extra money. You know, and that's hard to do for your average person. So there's been tips or tricks. You know, acetone your tires. You know, you're going to take an old set of tires. We're going to acetone them for 24 hours, pull the beads off, and you got a brand new set of wheels you can use, and put some new rubber on there, glue them up, and you're good to go. You know,
Right.
We could talk about that. Tire prep, different ways you can prep tires. I've always been told when I first got into racing, you know, go find out who those fast guys are, pit next to them, and ask them questions.
100%.
And if they're a turd sandwich and they don't want to help you, then they're doing it for the wrong reasons. But 9 times out of 10, those fast guys will tell you exactly what they're doing.
Right.
You know, even if it's just a club race. And a club race is a great time for fast guys to try new things, you know, and sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does, you know, but I was always willing to go and ask those fast guys where I was, you know. Got a guy like Cameron Lindlag, you know, he's always been fast in anything he has, you know, and he's unorthodox. You know, his setups are weird, you know, and his way of thinking is probably not like everybody else's, but it makes you kind of think outside the box, and that can help you or can really confuse you. But those fast guys should be willing to help you. And if they're not, you know, find somebody else that's fast, you know, and there's tons of support out there. You just got to either be willing to ask and be okay with asking, or, you know, just keep struggling until you figure it out.
Right. Two key shows I want to do this year. And people are going to say, oh, yeah, you've been talking about that show for 2 years. We're doing it this year because you know a lot of them too. We are going to have the track owners and promoters roundtable. It's happening. TJ, I want you to hold me to the fire on it. We got to
set a date.
Yeah, we got to get guys on. And I think
put a ring on it. Set a date.
Put a ring on it. And I'm going to support myself here. It happened for a reason that hasn't happened yet, folks, because we've met so many new promoters like Tony, right? Like, you know, couple the guys from Crater.
Yeah.
I mean, there's guys that I'm like, whew, I'm almost glad I didn't do this show without these guys, right? I want to get 7, 8, how many ever, and get them all together at one time and really talk about from different areas of the hobby. You know, I'll get Cassidy on from RC drag racing. I believe it'll be so interesting to hear an RC drag racing promoter talk to Tony from Backyard, and they're going, yeah, I don't sleep at night either. Or this, this is wearing me out. Like, why can't racers this or whatever? You know, I'm just scatting, but
it's going to be Knights of the Round Table.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would hope, you know, I'll pull the curtain back on what the hope of that is that racers will listen to these people that all they do is put their heart and soul into something so you can come out and have a good time. And I hope that resonates with them. And we stop all this whining about tracks and we, this and that, and I'm not coming back. I want all that's got to go away. If they truly hear these people talk from the heart, I'm hoping that just turns that a little bit.
And that's part of the acceptance part. Do I have to go to an outdoor track that I don't want to run? No, I can be transparent and be honest. I told Aaron Streplow, I was like, man, you have a great facility here. If you ran open, I'd probably come back more. It wasn't that I didn't have fun, just spec just isn't for me. And he understood, it wasn't malice by any mean, and it was just, hey man, I don't really run spec. And that's just it. And he was like, well, we've thought about opening it up, but up there, that's just what everybody runs, so I fully respect it. Would never say anything bad about the program they run. It was clean. It was fast. They got done in a reasonable time. What more could I ask for?
Right.
I got a 5.5 hour. Yeah. They had food out there. I was like, man, they had food out there for Cinco de Mayo. And Ryan and I were like, dude, let's DoorDash Taco Bell. It's Cinco de Mayo. So we did, the idiots we are, but that's it. I would never bash Attitude's program by any means, because that's the respect we need to have. The understanding of, you gave me a place to run. I tried to do it just wasn't for me, and that's okay.
Right.
Accept that. I don't have to go to a track. You don't have to be there. You're making a choice.
Right.
But don't take your unpreparedness out on the track director or the race owner or the track owner, or anybody putting that race on because of maybe a false promise. I don't know. You can't control some things. Mother Nature rains on our parade. Guess what? Plan for it.
Exactly.
So Knights of the Round Table, that's what it's going to be. So we're going to get like 8 people involved, and we're going to have basically a forum. Yep. They're going to talk about it. They're going to bring their trials and tribulations, what they did wrong. I want to hear what they did wrong.
Yeah. I
want to hear them own stuff that they messed up on. And it's okay to be called out on it, because if you take ownership, you're willing to get better.
Exactly. Another thing I want to do with that is, but prior to that, we're gonna offer up a phone line. I want racers. I want racers to call in and leave comments not about a particular. If you leave a name of a track, sorry, that name's coming out, so don't even bother with it.
Yeah.
This isn't to label a track. This isn't to point fingers. This is going to be, hey, here's what we're thinking, right? We're going to ask racers to call in and say, hey, this is why I go to a track, but these are some concerns I have about a track. And that's okay, because it's exactly like you said. If we don't lift the rug, we can't see what's underneath it. And it'd be nice because, so we'll have some of those comments. We will play them to the Knights of the Round Table and use some of those as subject matter. So if you can call us, be respectable, get to your point, don't name a track, you might be on the show. And then you're going to hear these track owners and promoters respond to what you left. So I think that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Here's another show I want to do. I don't know when it'll happen. I don't know if it'd be best at Mother's Day or Valentine's Day. I want to have racers' wives. I want multiple. I want your wife. I want Holly. I want Ryan's wife. I'll have my wife said she'll do it. It was actually, I got to be honest, it was her idea. She's like, when are you going to talk to the women behind the racers? I'm like, and behind the track promoters. And I said, honey, I'm the first to agree that there's a great woman behind any guy who's thinking about racing. Whether you're a racer and just, you know it. I
do.
You know it very well. But let's hear it from their perspective, and I think it'll be funny as all get out.
So maybe we bring them on and we just say, we ask them questions, like,
exactly.
I'll never forget the first time I told Autumn, my girlfriend, I told her I race RC cars. Her being the casual, very, passive young lady she is, was like, oh, okay, like, interesting. So I was like, it's really not what you think. It's, she went to like 1 or 2 races and she's never been back. She doesn't need to go, but she wanted to see what it was about. So she come out, we went to a track and the power went out. So we literally sat in this track for, like 2 hours before they got the power back on or whatever may have happened. But, she ended up leaving, going home. And she came back to another race, and she didn't realize the magnitude of what it was. She didn't realize it was, I'm taking my car, I'm loading up. I've got OGO bags I'm taking. I have a full setup. I have a full mobile pit station basically that I set up. I'm very meticulous in where I want things, so I know where they are.
Play some great music.
Yeah, I do play some great music. Not a fan for everybody, but it's a smorgasbord, a lot of heavy stuff, but it gets into my feelings, It's what I need.
Right.
I build me a brick wall. I'm going through it,
I pitted next year. I had the underground right next year. I'm digging it. I loved it.
Yeah. But she did. She finally came to a conclusion that was like, I didn't think it was this big for you, and this is impressive. And anytime that she talks to somebody about it, she's like, I enjoy that he has that hobby, that I'm that passionate about, and she supports it, and there's been times where we've talked about racing and maybe I shouldn't go race, or hey, I need to go test. I have to go race. And she's like, absolutely. Like 9 times out of 10, she's not really going to question it. She fully supports it. And I think that's that unconditional support that we all look for. It doesn't go unwavering in question, but I could be out doing a lot worse. Right.
100%. We talk.
Dude, I'm a toy nerd. I'm a toy nerd. Like, I play with toy cars. Come on. And they're expensive. Yeah. They're fun. They're fast. It's feeding whatever need of an addiction that could be, but it's perfect for me. It could be so much worse.
My wife sees what happens at the underground. She'll step down, and see the guys, but we don't have no 300 people show up. Right. So when I did that track walk or the pit walk, because I know you do the track walk, so I'm like, I'll do pit walk. I did the pit walk at Crown Jewel. Like, hey, Wendy, check this out. And she's like, what? Because the unedited version, I'm walking and I'm walking and I'm walking and I'm walking. Like I couldn't.
Well, there's 5 rows
of
of canopies that are all. We're 5 deep.
She's like, that's the race you were at. That's an RC race. She goes, I want to see that. I said, it's like that at Attitude too. She's like, well, I definitely want to go see that now. So so it's like the more they know about it, the more they get it. And to your point, maybe they don't want to go all the time, or they want to be able to. Hey, even when my son raced full size cars, my wife would come, but she always came separate. She didn't want to be there from 6 a.m. until 2:00 a.m. Us rolling the midget back in the trailer and heading home. Right. But she would come out for the main part of the race, and that's great. It was fun to have her there. It was fun to just to share that with her. But she'd be there for the feature, and then she'd head home, So
yeah, I mean that's what it was like. She came, she supported a race or two, and she kind of got her fix. She brought her daughter to a race. Where were we at Brick House? They drove 52 minutes away from home, just to see me race. And I got her younger brother, got him a program built up. He doesn't get to race too much in the summer because they do a lot of outside work. Sure. But he's 30 years old. And we were able to get him a program, get him in a slash. Carpies did him a wrap, and I built him this car, and tons of people donated around the area, and we were able to get him a full program because he never would have been able to afford it. So now he races in novice, and he does okay. He's still trying to learn, but that's really what it was for. Like we got somebody else into the hobby that probably never would have been able to get into a big size car, but can get their fix in a small car at a smaller scale, and with a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, for sure. Well, buddy, this has been fun. I'm looking forward to doing these shows where we just kind of sit back and between ourselves, and hopefully when Ryan can join, we just talk RC. It's what the fans wanted.
Yes.
Overwhelmingly, I get a lot of feedback that, hey, love that guest. But man, it's really fun when you guys just sit around and give your perspective on RC. So that's what they want. That's what we'll give them. So that's awesome. But so excited that you're part of the team this year. Can't even tell you, man. We're gonna have so many sound bites as we get rolling. I can see them coming. So it'll be fun. So hopefully you enjoyed it, folks. This is what you asked for. This is the first of many. We'll try to definitely do this, each month. Spend a little time like this. Again, anytime you got questions, you've got something that you want talked about. This is your show. Honestly, we're just the voice. We just edit it. This is about what you want to hear. And so we're really interested to see what people want us to talk about. We did a little bit of that during live, and that was cool. That was super cool. But it doesn't have to end just on that 15-minute live. Just keep pouring in. Invest in the show. Be part of the show, and we'll get what you want to talk about out there. So again, this will be out on all major platforms to include Spotify and Apple Podcast, all major platforms, and YouTube. Help us out, everybody. Let's try to go for. I want to go for one of those plaques, man. I ain't gonna lie.
That would be legit.
I ain't gonna lie. It's legit. And you're a great social media guy. I do my best with your guidance. I think we can get there, but mostly it's going to be the fans. The fans have to. They got to like. You got to share. You got to subscribe. If we can get up those subscriptions, it doesn't cost anything. We're not asking for money. We're just asking for you to just click that little button and subscribe. Let's see where we can take this thing, man. Every time we take a break, we got to climb back up the hill to get to be number one in just the RC, segment of a Spotify. But it's always fun when we get there. It's always fun to do the search and bang, there we are. But there's some other great podcasts. And a matter of fact, one of those podcasts, we're going to have two other podcast hosts, I should say. So watch for that. They're going to be coming up here in the October-November timeframe. It's just going to be great, man. It's just going to be great. I don't want to give it. There's so much I could give away, but I don't want it. You got to stop me, TJ.
Hey, listen, if you guys want something specific on the show, he meant it. He said it. Let us know. Message the page. Give us your feedback. If there's topics you want us to talk about, anything you want to hear, specific things, just let us know. Like you said, this is your platform. This is for you guys. This is, for those hour-long drives to work where you don't want to listen to music. You want to hear something you're interested in. This is for you. So we're going to talk about the gray lines. We'll talk about the stuff that nobody else will, and that's okay. We'll give you some opinions. We'll give you insights of what we think. Doesn't mean we're right. Doesn't mean we're wrong. But let's have an open discussion and see where it goes.
Thank you so much, TJ, for being on this with me. It was a great episode. We're going to kick it off next week with a guest. So that's going to be fun. That'll be episode 67. We're on our way to 100, guys. And you're buckled in with us on this ride all the way to 100 episodes throughout season 3. So we're so excited to be back. Awesome. Okay, everybody, again, thanks for joining us. Thanks, you Carpies. Thank you, Papa Willie's. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy the episode, and we'll see you again next week.
Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has been curing poor traction since 2016. The name says it all. If you're not popping wheelies, it's not Papa Willie's. Papa Willie's has become known across the United States on dirt oval to off-road, asphalt to concrete, carpet to hardwood, and so many other surfaces. Papa Willie's continues adding to their lineup with tonics for cold and hot weather, loose dirt to high traction, dry dirt, wet dirt, clay and abrasive surfaces, along with anti-drag bearing oil, tire cleaner, tire glue, pit accessories, and swag. You can find the complete Papa Willie's catalog at www.papawillies.net. Prepare for victory with Papa Willie's Traction Tonic.
Be sure to use promo code RCUR for 10% off your next purchase at Papa Willie's.
Folks, are you looking to gain a 10th on the racetrack or maybe get a few ladies like Taylor Swift in your pit stall? Well, I'm sorry to say that Carpies can't work miracles in those departments. But here's the good news. The folks at Carpies can definitely help you become the ultimate toy car nerd, well, with their custom wraps and killer collection of official RC branded merch. So while they can't promise to shave a tenth off your lap time, they can save you 10% on your next order with promo code RCU10 upon checkout at carpys.com, CARPYS.com. Wrapping winners since 2013.
Thank you for listening to the RC Underground Radio podcast. Please like, share, and tell your fellow racers about the show. Tune in again next week to RC Underground Radio for more RC content.